Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with another MBTI video. Today we're going to be checking out a request video. This is actually somebody asked for a request for typing, and it's the person that we're typing. Yesterday we did a video, and this guy was the interviewer, and today we're going to see what type he is. I already have my leanings, but we're going to look at it a little bit fresh. Uh, but before we begin, before we dig in, let's talk about the system because I have done something different. This is not the MBTI that you have come to know and not understand. We have a very simple system here. There are five binary variables. You are either things or ideas. Not that you don't do the other one, but that you primarily focus on one of those. And when you have the one of those that you focus on, you either get new ones or sort through old ones. Again, you're not limited to that, but that's what you're best at. That's what you do the best. You pick out the best one or you find new ones. From there, you either do that for yourself or for the tribe. That doesn't mean that you only do that for the self or the tribe, but that you do that first for yourself or for the tribe. Uh, the next choice is going to be. Where are we at, Pitt? I'm looking at my own stuff. That's going to give us the I. The next bit is going to be rigid or flexible. Do you stand very firmly and barrel through things and try to make it go your way? Or are you more flexible? Do you shift around other people's ideas and try to integrate them into what you do and get the outcome that you want? And then finally, we're going to get to direct or informative. Are you telling the same story three times? Are you chasing rabbit holes? Do you go wandering off and over explain things? Or are you very direct? Do you say all of the information, which can be long, or without repeating yourself or chasing rabbit holes? With that being said, now we're going to dig in and check out, see what the Indian Jesus has to say. This is him interviewing someone else on his podcast because I don't have another source material for him. And it's shorter form because it's clips. This is 9 minutes. That should be plenty of time to do what we need to do here. So we're going to look at some examples. We're going to see if we can try to find inside ourselves some things that correlate with what he has going on. Let's dig in and see what's up.
Much that whenever you meet somebody, whether it's a date or a new friend or whoever, that politics is the first thing you need to think of. I did a show
Yeah.
for Valentine's Day the other night where we were giving advice and people wrote in, and a lot of them were said, "Should I tell it?"
What do you think is preventing people from either recognizing that those are the issues or being able to enact that?
I mean, I think
All right, so we're already looking at ideas, right? He's not listing things, he's listing ideas.
That those are the issues or being able to enact that?
I,
Right, these are our two options.
I mean, I think
That is a loaded question.
in terms of on the left, they have their entire power structure where it's a cult. Anybody steps out of line, they're going to feel the full wrath of the cult. It's the same thing as when somebody tries to leave a cult, and what happens? They come after them. So I kind of understand that, but yeah, I think the right is always reacting to the left also.
Yup.
So which is why they lose always.
True.
They are just kind
They should be much more proactive.
of I think
Like,
it's
I'm
more
trying to get to him
understandable
talking
that
a little
they've
bit.
sort
He
of
talked a
been
little bit more in
stomped
the
on
other
for
one.
so long by
I don't know who
nutjob
this guy
leftists
is. I'm
that
not trying
kind
to
of
squash you or
understand
anything,
where
but
people
it's-
on the right get bitter.
Just tired and bitter.
Yeah, and I mean I agree that we're in a position where we're constantly reacting, but that comes from
We're in a position where we're constantly reacting, right? Now, part of that is the framing of the statement because they're talking about the Republicans versus the Democrats, but part of that is his way of expressing himself. He does that often. He did that often in the other one, and I wound up watching the rest of that whole podcast, and it was rather interesting. Y'all should definitely check that out.
us meaning the cultural right more broadly, us not having our own culture there to put anything forth. So the only culture that's on the right seems to be not left.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I'm working on changing that.
Well,
Oh
and
my
especially-
goodness! Shout out to Soil to Soul said Morty,
Aw.
eat good tonight. Oh boy, oh boy.
All right, so that's very tribe-centered. Right? If you're doing a podcast and you're interviewing someone and you interrupt it because you get the tribe giving you positive feedback, so you give positive feedback to your tribe, that's very tribe-centered.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So much. Sorry, you're saying.
I don't know,
And that's also not very concerned with the feelings of the guest.
but I'm just who cares? There's a dog.
No, but on the idea that these three things.
Like that leans me towards T, right? If you're not really concerned about the feelings of the guest in that manner, like I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do when you're doing your own podcast, but when you're interviewing somebody, that's kind of rude, bro. Like really, like I understand that that's your shtick with your people, and that's cool. But like if it was me, it would be a little bit off-putting. And that's just what it is.
Are forcing everybody to be involved in
Like you can see this guy's uncomfortableness from that.
politics when some of them don't want to, some of them shouldn't be, and it's fucking everything up.
I hate so much that whenever you meet somebody, whether it's a date or a new friend or whoever, that politics is the first thing you need to think of. I did a show
Yeah.
for Valentine's Day the other night where we were giving advice and people wrote in, and a lot of them were people asking, "Oh no, I found out this guy that I'm seeing his politics, he's a leftist, and should I tell him? Should I not?" And it sucks that that's something we even need to consider.
You're a liberal.
Because I think the deeper that this has gotten, the more burnt out I've gotten about. I don't know if all you guys agree. I am so over politics. I am so burnt. It is my goal and dream in life to never have to talk about politics
Okay, we have a direct contrast of direct and informative here.
again.
Like he's rabbit holing, right? This is not where the conversation was, but it is where it is going.
Yeah, that same exact thing. I feel like a little bit of a calling that the
On a separate note, it's not about the politics for me. I am somewhat aligned right, like mostly aligned right, because the left is completely insane. But like I am very much center guy, right? Very much center, slightly right guy. So
when you take these two and I guess three ideas of what's creating that chasm, or at least preventing the chasm from being fixed, preventing the bridges from being built, then you get into the fact that yeah, we're living in different realities. And you can I just did a stream with a friend who is a liberal, and we're watching
again with a tribe reference, right? That's definitely a name calling and pulling in like that. That's tribe references.
Biden speech.
And that's not bad. Like some people will be like, "Oh, well, no, it's not bad. It's just how you build. You take in information, and this part's important."
Together to just be like, okay, well, like, what do you see and what do I see? And it's like, bro, he just said the MAGA Republicans are eroding democracy, and I'm like, okay, well, so explain to me how that's not divisive. It's like, well, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. What are you seeing?
Right? Give me some evidence because I don't see the evidence. I see all these ideas, right? He's open to the ideas, but he's not seeing any evidence for it. That's a very NETE or TI thing.
I can't with these people.
Can we just can we not?
I don't know. Like, I would love to be more like, kumbaya, we are the world, and all that shit. But these are ridiculous people.
Yep. And we used to be there. We used to be, on that again. I think the '90s was the peak of American culture.
The
And
All right, so we're gonna get some meat here. Hold on.
90s were the greatest.
and just ever since then,
All right, so are we going to be dealing with things or ideas, right? Main determinant. If we're dealing with ideas or things, is it new ones or old ones? We seem to be leaning towards old right here. But even then, like it can be still the new ideas in the 90s versus the new ideas now. So we're just going to see how it falls out. But we're going to try from this section to do a whole thing. So let's see.
they introduced identity politics, and everything's gone downhill.
That's definitely idea.
All going to hell now.
Bill Brett.
That's definitely a single box, right? everything got put into identity politics and it went downhill, is a singular box.
Bradley said wanting less
For an
government would
idea.
be an act of inaction. Wanting more government.
Like, we didn't get any, I'm going to back it up just a second, but we didn't get any things at all. That was all idea, and it was all singular idea.
Identity politics, and everything's gone downhill.
It's all going to hell now.
Bill Bradley said wanting less government would be an act of inaction. Wanting more government requires an action to which the people want.
What?
All right. Wanting less government would be an act of inaction. Wanting more government requires an action to which the people that want less government react. So it makes sense the GOP would react to Dem attempts to expand government while not taking actions that would expand the government. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I disagree because there are actions that you could take that actually solve the problems, that create, you know how Hinge, the dating app, they advertise as the app that's meant to be deleted.
Not on.
Is the app that's meant to be deleted. And like, if that were true, of course it's not. They want you to pay for this and that. But if it were true, then that would be a really good utility. And so if we have, the Department of Education that wants to actually fix it.
So we have an example of a thing, but it's a thing that doesn't work, right? It's a thing that is not. And so it's more talking about the idea of the thing as opposed to the actual thing. And I know that can get a little bit tricky, right? But normally it's a little bit more clear cut. He doesn't have a lot of exposition in this, and so it's hard for me. And he's got a lot of content, so it's going to be harder for me to choose one. But this seems to be more of a idea rather than thing, which is going to lead me to an N rather than an S. Right? Let's go ahead and look at our dichotomy. It's going to lead me more towards the right-hand two columns. From there, it seems like singular boxes as opposed to a whole scattershot of ideas, right? There's this whole broad spectrum of ideas. We have this, it can all be focused down into this box. It can all be focused down into this box. And there can be various boxes, but it's the idea of taking the ideas that you have and putting them into this one singular box that kind of fits all things of that type. The NEs really don't care about that. The NIs really do. And so it leans me more towards a J than a P because he seems to be more old than new. From there, it seems that he is very tribe-centered, so that's going to give me an ENJ. And then it becomes down to a T or an F. Well, he seems to be a little bit more rigid than he is flexible. He seems to be more set in his path than he is towards other people's path. The interrupting of the guest with the sound, and I get the why, I do. I'm built a different way though. I'm an F, and to me that's very important. How my guest is feeling from the thing is going to be very important to me. It's not to a T, right? There's other things, but that's a really good example. Just the fact that would happen, right? It's different in a different format of guest and interviewer. Like, this is more of a, I'm asking you what your thoughts are, and then it pops up and it's very brash and interrupting. And it's from his tribe, for his tribe, but this guy's not part of his tribe, so he doesn't care. That makes me think ENTJ, right? So what does an ENTJ look like? I popped down the wrong thing. Give me 1 second to make all of this happen correctly. There we go, just like that, right there. So an ENTJ is going to be a TE dominant, right? They're going to be external thinkers, or very concerned about what the thoughts of others are. They're going to be the ones who are very, show me the evidence, like hardcore, show me the evidence. If it's not written down, between them and SI dominance, it is a battle for who can be most anal retentive about evidence. The best possibility is what he's going to feel responsible for. So he's going to want to take all of these things and he's going to push them into the box that he feels is the most appropriate. It may or may not be correct. It probably even is, because you get a lot of information at the top part of the stack. Now, he seems to be more direct than informative. Now, his guest is more informative. He's wandering off towards rabbit holes, but Jesus here seems to be holding it together fairly well. So that leans me more towards introverted. That's going to make him an alternate on the scale because the third slot determines that. If it is introverted, it is because you are direct. If it is extroverted, it is because you are informative. That means that he is going to be defensive about his morals, not the tribe's ethics, his morals. He's going to have a hard time communicating those, though. He's going to have a hard time saying why he feels the way he feels about what he feels. That is IF, that is the throat, that is what that is, or FI, it's the throat, what it's all about. The SE is going to be current things, right? Current things, exploration, all of these things, but it's low frequency. It's not a high concern. You're going to complete tasks, you're just not going to be really good at it. You're going to get things done, it's just not going to be done quite right. It's something that can be overcome. It's just never going to be a full-time, forever disability for anything that is in your stack. You use the whole stack all the time to varying degrees. The strength comes in the balance of all the stack. If you can get them all equally working, all equally well, then you're getting all the information and you're making correct decisions. When you get to the bottom part of the stack, from the heart lower, it is fed more, like you receive your information really from the wrong side. You have positive information and negative information. Which side you see from really depends on where you live in your stack. Your heart is low frequency area, but it is what you really want to do. It is what your heart longs for, right? And for him, that is to be logically consistent. It is to do this best idea in a logical manner. Now, he's got a problem because his organization's way on the bottom, and that's going to make it difficult to do that. But it is possible to work through that. The solar plexus is going to be what feeds you. That is going to be the spot where you're going to get the most nourishment. If you are doing it and doing it correctly, you're going to feel great. And that is looking at all the possibilities before you make the decision that this is the best possibility, right? NE is seeing all the possibilities. Nobody ever sees all the possibilities, but some people are better at seeing possibilities than others. That doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just that you were evolutionarily designed for a different part of the process. Your part of the process is narrowing them down, but you have a problem getting the information. You have to learn to get the information. You have to learn to trust some people and that they're going to bring you information that you can actually parse in a true form or a yes-no fashion. FE, this is the part that you're going to rebel against the most. It's the part that you intentionally choose wrong, right? Your sacral, it's the sexual trickster energy, and it is going to hold you back because you are intentionally choosing the wrong thing. For this, it's going to be an FE. That is going to be other people's feelings and their ethics, right? The tribe determines ethics. You determine morals. Your morals can align with ethics, but they don't necessarily have to. And if yours don't, you really don't care. You have 0 F's to give about somebody else's ethics. If it does not fit your morals, then too bad. That's not necessarily a benefit. It can be if you are properly grounded and you are properly set and your intentions are in the right manner. It can be a wonderful thing. You should be able to stand in your morals. You should know exactly where they are and where they derive from. I'm not going to tell you what to do or what to believe. You should know that. And your SI, this is the part that you're going to mess up. Like it is the demon slot. The base and the demon, same thing. It is a hard thing to overcome. This is the part that's going to trip you up the most, and it is going to be organization and what has happened. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have learned to organize, but it's still going to trip you up. Your organization system is going to be a little bit weird. Nobody else will understand it. You know where the things are, but nobody else could find it if they were looking for it. You've got this spot that is designated for important stuff, but it doesn't make any sense to people. Like, that is the type of thing that happens, right? It's not you specifically, but it is a general, this happens to people because they receive the wrong energy here, right? Just like you receive at the top, you get all this information from the divine flawlessly, almost, right? 90+% reception rate at the top of knowing exactly, right? He knows exactly what other people are thinking all the time. But the bottom, this organization, remembering to bathe and brush your teeth can be a problem. Remembering to pay your bills, remembering to get up and go to work. These things can be a problem for people who are SI demons. It doesn't have to be you, it doesn't have to be everybody. Even within the stack, like even within the specific type, people are very, very, very different. These are generalities, very much so. It is very much tendencies, right? I do not have nearly the data enough to do any type of research. This is me speculating, putting this out there because I believe it's real. I believe it's true. It worked for me, and everyone that I have seen sit down and do it, it's worked for them too. I haven't had anybody come to me and just like, well, that's completely off base, right? It might be. I could be. It could be here. Who knows? This is just me speculating. We're going to watch the rest of this segment. I'm going to leave the link down below just to see if we can get some confirmation on this, to see if we see any, we've already seen a good bit of tribe, right? I really do feel very firm on the tribe. The NI and is more up to grabs than anything else in this. Is it new ideas or old ideas? So let's just see. We've only got a couple minutes left in this, and
education and continues tweaking better and better and better education. That's not a problem. The fact is that we're not doing that. So, so we definitely have those things that can be done, but all that's being done is just nope. Democrats bad. Democrats bad. And it's like, well, okay, what do you want then? I think we all want to do things like solve homelessness and you know the not I was going to say the wage gap.
what's the second idea here, boss?
Not the wage gap. The income gap is definitely.
There we go. Like it's difficult, right? It's not impossible. You can do it, but it's like somebody who was more all the ideas would have listed off those ideas, right? You've got the solutions for the box.
A huge problem. People are fucking broke. Like there's things to be done.
Oh yeah, let's talk about how their precious lockups was the largest transfer of wealth in history from the lower classes to the top. But we can't talk about that, and that's the thing. We have two parties now that support all of that.
Yep.
I disagree a little bit because I understand your point, but I kind of, whenever I hear Republican politicians talking about how the government shouldn't get involved, I cringe a little bit because this isn't 1980. The government is involved. Look around
they're
you.
Already here. Exactly.
So for me, I want to vote someone who will be very proactive and take action and use every tool in our disposal to try and involve the government on behalf of the people for once and get rid of a lot of these things. It takes action to get rid of a lot of these things that have been in place for so long.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm coming from. Is that we're already in a position where action needs to happen. We need to we can't.
I've already made a determination about this decision. Action needs to happen.
Use non-government to fight the government that we have now. That's just not a.
And there's the box.
Granny Panties says we are in a
So anarchism, that's a rough idea there.
flowered pivot loop, and conservatives are too gutless to stop it. I'm not familiar. What is a?
I'm gonna pretend I'm smart and say I totally know what that is.
Is that the
let's do a Google.
strong men weak men cycle?
Clowered. Actually, let's make sure this is something that could be.
This grinder history is gonna open.
Yeah, let's make sure that SI kicks in.
Looks like we're good. What do we got here? The Clowered.
Like that's an organization
is a
thing,
political
right?
strategy outlined.
That's an organization thing. Like he was about to pull it up on the live stream, and not having it properly organized is the thing. But he's probably been burned by it, so he was like, "All right." Oh.
In 1966 by American sociologist and political activist Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. Well, very aptly named. Strategy forcing political change, leading the societal collapse through orchestrated crises. The cloud pivot strategy seeks to hasten the fall of capitalism by overloading the government bureaucracy with a flood of impossible demands, amassing massive unpayable national debt, and other methods such as unfettered immigration, thus pushing society into crisis and an economic collapse, overwhelming the United States. I'm gonna agree there, Granny
Sounds about
Panties.
apt.
I am going to agree. Any film says racism being a thing skyrocketed under Obama. He was very divisive. Prior to that, Democrats routinely accused George Bush of being a Nazi, an idiot, a criminal, evil genius, and evil genius, or just criminally evil.
Oh yeah, I had I think it was in 2020 I'd written a thing about because all these people saying Trump is Hitler. I went back from every Republican to ever run for president to see how many times they had been called Hitler. I had to stop at like 70 years. It's just every Republican, and then once they're not a threat to the Democrats anymore, suddenly they love them.
They love them.
Like now
Yep.
they love Bush.
All right,
They
so we're
love
reaching the end of
McCain.
this.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio, and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.
All right, so his link will be in the box down below for me. I'm fairly confident in the ENTJ alternate. I don't like. It's harder when you are the interviewer than when you are the interviewee, unless you're informative, right? Unless you are chasing the rabbit holes like some of them do. For the most part, it's easier when you're getting the story from the person being interviewed. They don't necessarily have an interview to go off of, but that is, easier to do. I did get enough confirmation. Like I had done the one with Ian Crossland, and if you haven't checked it out, it's in the playlist. What MBTI is Ian Crossland, and he interviewed Ian, and I got a good bit from that because it was more long form, and I watched the rest of it past what I had recorded, so I got more out of that too. So I am confident enough to go forward with the ENTJ alternate here. I got enough confirmation for what I already believed. This was not really the interview to get a good confirmation from, right? He didn't talk a lot, he's direct. That we did get tribe, we did get a good bit of control, but the things and ideas can be the trickiest one. It's the most important one. And it's harder in this form of content. If it wasn't for the fact that I had seen so much before, I wouldn't be confident from this one to go forward with it. So bear that in mind. But I will link the ENTJ video. It is in the playlist for infinite integrations, where I talk about how you can do all kinds of wonderful things to help yourself. I can't do anything for you. I have no right to even try. I don't try to force my beliefs on anyone. This is something that worked for me. I am self-centered. That means not that I am selfish, but that I do things for me first. And because I do things for me first, it worked for me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe other people could use this. And so I brought it to other people. Other people have used it. It has worked for them. They have found some actionable things to learn from in these videos. They have taken these things and found examples for themselves, typed themselves, and found results by implementing the system. That doesn't mean that it's the only way to do it. It doesn't mean that I am correct, and I will never hold a degree. So for some people, particularly people who are TE dominant, that's a hard thing. If you didn't go to school, then you couldn't have an education. For a lot of those, right? Not every one of them, but a lot. If you don't hold a degree, then why should I listen to you? It's a problem for a lot of TE dominance. You also get the direct opposition to that in the same stack, right? So the people are either very much give me your credentials, or they are very much your credentials are nothing, right? You get both extremes from the same thing. Everything's about degrees. Everything is a wave sign. Everything is harmonics. It all ties together, people. Y'all make sure y'all get back over and check out the Indian. I don't know what to call him. The Indian Jesus just doesn't feel right. But y'all get back over there and check it out. The link is provided in the description box down below. Hopefully, I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion. Hopefully, I was able to show you some examples that you can use in your own life to help you fix you in the way that you want to fix you, right? right. I am not here to fix you. I am not here to try to fix you. I am here to give you some tools. I'm here to give you a tool set that you can use to fix yourself, because we all need a little bit of fixing, and sometimes it can be hard to get started. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you were here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pit Steak. Peace.